Hello everybody and welcome back to the Logan Blackman Show YouTube channel. It's been a few months since we last recorded a video. Of course, the last video recorded was covering the United States and their, not very great result against Panama in the Gold Cup, losing on penalties. And, that's one of those things where you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. You bring a bad team, don't be surprised when your team gets knocked out the game before the final. So we had to see Mexico win another Gold Cup. So now the United States are back to 2 Gold Cups behind Mexico instead of being tied with them. So now we got this whole big thing where it was like, oh, the United States is on top. Mexico and Canada are going through this huge, terrible period. Mexico's as bad as they've ever been. Canada's going through all these difficult financial situations where I didn't even know you could have for a national team. And the United States is sitting pretty, win the Nations League back-to-back times, coming off a Gold Cup win, beating Mexico X amount of times in a row, or avoiding a loss against Mexico X amount of times in a row, but then losing in the Gold Cup semifinals on penalties. It's not great. It's not great. This has been a really rough summer for fans of United States soccer because not only did you have the men's team losing in the Gold Cup semifinals to Panama, you had the women's national team losing in the round of 16 in the World Cup in Australia and New Zealand. It's just been a very bad time to be a fan of United States national team soccer, but we're here today to try to brighten the mood a little bit. The United States got a couple friendlies coming up in September, so we're going to have to get back on the United States men's national team train, but we're not going to focus on those games because all things considered, they're friendly matches, so they don't count for anything except for experience. And I might be a little mean here. But the United States should come through relatively unscathed through these friendlies that they've got coming up. So we're going to focus on something that they haven't even technically qualified for yet, but they're the host country. We've had 2 tournaments back-to-back, men's and women's, that did not go as planned. We both thought, everybody out there, every United States fan out there, thought both the men's and women's would come away from both tournaments with a dub. You'd be lying if you said otherwise. Hindsight's a beautiful thing, but going into these tournaments, you and I both thought the men's team would win the Gold Cup, the women's team will win the World Cup, and it just didn't happen. So we're going to look forward to the next tournament, the big tournament, because obviously got the Nations League up again, but the next big tournament for the United States men's national team is the Copa América, which again, I'm sounding like a broken record here, they need to still qualify for. But it's still fun to try and look to the future, look to what could be, because this is a tournament that not only is on home soil, this is a tournament the United States could in some ways, I'm not saying, I don't want to go out on a limb and say the United States can win the whole thing. I mean, you've still got other great countries down in South America that could definitely win, that probably will win this tournament, but you can compete. The last Copa América you were in, you got beat 4-0 by Lionel Messi. Not a very fun game. Not a very fun experience, and Lionel Messi is currently tearing up the Leagues Cup for Inter Miami, taking the worst team in the league, which they still are, technically, the worst team in the league because they haven't played a single MLS match since Messi's been here. But they're tearing up everybody. But, man, Copa América, we're back. We're hosting a tournament that we have been a part of maybe 5 times. Maybe less than that. And we're the host. We hosted Copa América Centenario. And we had no reason to host it. We had absolutely no reason to host it. But here we are again in 2024 hosting another tournament. Now, this tournament's going to be, interesting. A lot of us after the World Cup, we're like, okay, we're going to see a new trend for the United States. We're going to see an expansive, some fun coaching. We're going to get a fun hire. We're going to be a really fun national team that can not only be a fun team on the pitch, but a competitive team as well. Because there's a difference between being fun and being competitive. But when you can do both, it's beautiful. It's an absolutely beautiful thing. And after all this, teeter-tottering around who the United States are going to hire, all these different candidates coming out with Patrick Vieira, Jesse Marsch, Thierry Henry was talked about, freaking Zinedine Zidane, Pep Guardiola got mentioned. We know the latter two were not coming. But still, you had these feelings like, oh, who are we going to get? And then when you got that update, the day after the United States beats Mexico 3-0, welcome back, Greg. Welcome back, Triple G. And these friendlies that are coming up in September are going to be his first games back. So Lord knows what kind of squad he's going to bring out for this. We know some of Greg's guys will be mentioned in this mentioned in these friendlies. You know the guys. Like the Jordan Morrises, the Jesus Ferreiras of the world. I'd be relatively shocked if they weren't in the team. That's how I'm feeling at this point. Doesn't matter how good everybody else is doing across the world. Ferreira, Morris. There's a few others in there. But those are the main two guys that will constantly get. DeAndre Yedlin will probably be in the squad as well. Now he's a teammate of Messi, so he's got more of a appeal now. We got DeAndre Yedlin and Lionel Messi. And in that first game he started, when Messi got substituted against Atlanta, he gave the armband to DeAndre Yedlin. So that's the biggest thing in the world for Greg Berhalter. Seeing DeAndre Yedlin get the captain's armband, for taking the captain's armband off Lionel Messi, oh, he's guaranteed to get 100 caps. Guaranteed. There is no chance in hell he does not get 100 caps at this point, just because of that singular event. But this squad that I'm going to be doing here is not what I think Greg would do. Because we're so far away from the tournament, a lot of things can happen leading up to the 2024 Copa America. We're going to do a squad that Logan would do. And this could be a very fun squad. This could be an absolutely trash squad. It could be players that you haven't heard of in years, like Julian Green could make an appearance. Who the hell knows? Zalem could make an appearance. Gideon Zalem could make an appearance in this team. People, Mixed Discaroo. Why not? Why can't he make? David Bingham. Why can't these guys all make appearances in the Logan Blackman Show United States squad for the 2024 Copa America? But before we get into that, make sure you like, subscribe, do all that stuff. Follow the social media accounts as well. All of them will be down in the description below. And make sure, most importantly, you follow the Logan Blackman Show on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We'll be posting more videos on here for the next few months. Maybe years. But I've got a lot of things scheduled. I have a whole Word doc of videos that we're going to do. A lot of it focuses on soccer and American football. So we're going to be the football and football show, pretty much. That's what all the YouTube videos are. If you want a little bit mixture of everything, go check out the podcast again. It'll be in the description. Hey, take a break. I'm winded. Oh, my God. But with all that out of the way now, let's go over some of the players that will be featured in the squad. Now, I think there will be, for the most part, I think there's quite a few locks. I think there's 14 locks. Going into the Copa America. And that is Matt Turner, United States #1. I know he lost the penalty shootout against Panama, but the only reason they were in the semifinal in the first place, because of his penalty heroics against Canada in the round before that. And then you got Serginho Dest, who's about to go on loan to PSV, or about to go to PSV. I don't know if it's on loan or anything. There were talks of Barcelona terminating his contract, which sucks. Super talented player. You just want to see him get some consistent playing time. And sticking with the right back spot, Joe Scally. Very good player for Borussia Mönchengladbach. Played well in the Nations League final against Canada. Really good player. Can play both right and left. That's the thing with both Dest and Scally, that they can both play the right and left back spots. Center backs, I think there's only really two locks for this, and that's Tim Ream, who, for the past the past 2 years, the past 2 or so years, year and a half, 2 years, he's been the best United States center back. Not only just this current roster, but on form. I don't know if there's been a center back for the United States that's been on better form, but Tim Ream's been playing really well. He's coming off a broken arm. And then we're going to mention him as well just because he's a Fulham teammate, but Anthony Robinson, super athletic left back. His distribution's not amazing, but he tracks back well. He gets forward well. He uses his speed in a lot of different situations very well. I think he's being a lock, especially when you look at the current pool of left backs the United States has right now. It's not great. It's not really great when your backup left backs are all right backs and then a center back, which we'll get to the center backs here in a little bit for the rest of the roster. But I think Chris Richards, especially with his goal in the Nations League Cup, Chris Richards has been highly touted as the United States' next great center back. Sadly missed the World Cup due to injury. He played in the under-21s for Crystal Palace recently. Very good player. I think him and Ream are the center back partnership going forward for the United States. As for midfielders, we got Tyler Adams. He was the captain of the last World Cup. There's a lot of weird transfer stuff going on with Tyler Adams. So he got relegated with Leeds, though he was injured for a lot of the season. He was about ready to go to Chelsea. They just spent a massive amount of money on Moise Caicedo, and then that deal fell through. And then, you got Chelsea, upper echelon of the Premier League, one of the biggest clubs in the world. And then the next club that takes a bid in for Tyler Adams is all the way down at Bournemouth. So, make of that what you will. But Tyler Adams is a very good player, great leader for this United States team. But the other midfielders that we got here may be considered a little bit more creative than Tyler Adams, especially the midfield pairing that we saw against Mexico in the Nations League semifinal, Weston McKennie and Yunus Musa. Yunus Musa, one of the more versatile players the United States has at their disposal, played as a 6, a lone 6 in the final against Canada, which is something we haven't really seen him do, both at international and club level. At club level for Valencia, which he just made a big move to AC Milan to join Christian Pulisic. We'll get to, he might be a lock. We'll have to wait and see. But he's mostly played as a winger. With the United States, he plays more centrally, and in that game with Brendan Aronson and Giovanni Reyna in front of him, played really well as a 6. So I think Jonas Musa definitely did. It goes without saying. This is why they're locks, because I think most people consider them locks. But one of them that might be a little bit more of a fringe lock. This was one I kind of toyed with a little bit. I think he is. Luca De La Torre. He doesn't start. He's the only player on here, apart from Scally, that is not like a guaranteed starter, or a guy that will play a lot of minutes for the United States men's national team. He's a very good super sub. He'll see out a game for you. I really like Luca De La Torre, and I think he should be in the squad going forward. And the final person in the midfield I think is considered a lock, arguably the most talented midfielder they have, maybe most talented player they have in general, Giovanni Reyna. Now, we know his relationship with Greg Berhalter is not the greatest, but the performances in the Nations League final and the Nations League semifinal are anything to go by. We might need to see a change of formation. I think everybody out there would agree we need to see a change of formation, because Greg Berhalter loves that 4-3-3 formation. And now with Giovanni Reyna playing as well as he did at the number 10 spot, with Tyler Adams being hurt, this opens up a lot of different situations for the United States. And that's a good problem to have. It's a very good problem to have. Like, having either Reyna, Musa, McKinney, or Adams come off the bench, that's not a bad problem to have. It gives you tactical versatility. And I'm excited to see how they handle that. If they handle it right, it's Greg. So you never know what's going to happen there. And then going forward, I think there's really 3 locks up front, and that's Timothy Weah on the right, Florian Balogun through the middle, the best striker the United States have had potential-wise in years, and then Christian Pulisic, obviously. One of the 2 captains for the team. He was the captain for the Nations League final back-to-back years. Great player. Obviously, he's the United States' best player. So he's going to be a lock for this tournament. So there's 14 players that we have listed as considered locks. You may agree or disagree with some of those players, but I think for the most part, we would agree with those. Luca De La Torre was the only one where I was like, would he be a lock? Is he a lock? But every time I made a squad, whether there's a 23-man or 26-man squad, because they haven't confirmed the squad size for this tournament, whatever it was, Luca De La Torre was a constant figure in these lineups. So I felt like if you're a constant figure in these teams I'm making, you have to be considered at least somewhat of a lock, even if you're not going to be a guaranteed starter, or a starter at like a 10% chance of starting. I think you're still considered a lock at that point. And then we've got some interesting position battles going forward for the United States. Like, we obviously have Matt Turner in net, unchallenged in between the sticks of the starter, but the backup spot is wide open right now. Most people would consider and agree with Ethan Horvath being the second best United States goalkeeper. But now, with Matt Turner transferring to Nottingham Forest, and Ethan Horvath not getting his loan deal, not signing a permanent deal from his loan move to Luton Town, which got them to the Premier League last year, or earlier this year, I guess. He's in kind of limbo right now. Same with Zach Steffen. We don't know what's going on with these two. Gaga Slonina just got a loan move to Belgium from Chelsea. We have Drake Callender, who's playing really well for Inter Miami in the Leagues Cup. He's had a really good season so far as well, even though Inter Miami are sitting lowly down with, I think, like 17 points in the Eastern Conference. I think he's a player that's starting to get, some traction on him. And if Ethan Horvath can't play and Zach Steffen can't play, because Gaga Slonina is going to start playing with Eupen over in Belgium again. He's already played minutes this league, which is more so far this year than Steffen and Horvath combined. So that backup goalkeeper spot's going to be something to pay attention to at this point in time. But if I had to take a stab, again, this is a ways down the line. I would go with, Turner and net, obviously, with Horvath as the backup, the main backup, and then Gaga Slonina as the number 3 option. One of the most talented goalies the United States have ever produced. We just hope he gets some playing time at Chelsea. Lord knows it's probably not going to happen with the way Chelsea spend money under Todd Boehly, but, crazier things have happened. So I would love to see him get some minutes at some point. I don't know when that's going to be, but he's super talented, and I think he deserves a spot going into this tournament. If not, Drake Callender, I think, is the next deserving spot because Zach Steffen just hasn't played. He's the 3rd string now at Manchester City. He played with Middlesbrough last year in the championship. He needs to get a move. Matt Turner played cup competitions for Arsenal, and guess what he did? He turned that around, made a move to Nottingham Forest. Now he's the number 1. So the guy gets some playing time. That's why I like Slonina going to Belgium. I think that's a great move for him. And if Horvath and Steffen can't get moves again, enter in Drake Callender as the number 2 option. And then again, this is for me. At this point, moving on to the next position. This is for me, so DeAndre Yedlin's not going to be mentioned in here. But from the fullback spots, the only other people I really have like a consideration for at this point, are DeJuan Jones from New England Revolution. I thought he had a very solid Gold Cup for all the lackluster performances and the failure that was the Gold Cup for the United States, I thought he played well. And then Brian Reynolds, I thought he had a decent tournament as well. The problem is, again, this is what we talked about before. With the left back situation behind N.T. Robinson, I don't know. If you're looking at the current depth chart, does DeJuan Jones the direct backup to N.T. Robinson? Or is that Joe Scally? Or is that DeAndre Yet? Or Serginho Dez? Is it one of those guys? And I think that's the answer is yes. To one of those two being the backup if, God forbid, N.T. Robinson gets hurt, Scally or Dez would move over to the left back spot. So I don't think we would necessarily see another left back go to the tournament. So with that being said, I am going to put Brian Reynolds in this squad. I think he adds nice depth there at the right back position. I mean, Greg Berhalter, just to go in the mind of Berhalter real quick, he brought 4 right backs to the World Cup. He brought 4 right backs. Get that there, yeah. 4 right backs. He brought Dest, he brought Yedlin, he brought Scally, and of course, the guy who played more minutes than Scally in the World Cup, Shaq Moore. So I don't have Shaq Moore in this team. He'll probably be in consideration for this tournament, but we're going to go with Brian Reynolds for this. And I didn't say this before. We're going to go with a 26-man squad. It hasn't been confirmed or anything with the squad, the level of squad or how many people will be in the squad. But since it's a tournament, I would expect it again to be a 26-man squad like we've seen in the World Cup. And, I mean, the Nations League was a 23-man squad, but that was a little bit different. But this being a full-blown tournament, I would expect at this point to see a 26-man. We'll do a 23-man squad review at the end of this as well. And just like quickly, we're not going to go hyper-analyzing that as well. But now moving on to center back. So a reminder, we have Chris Richards and Tim Ream as starters. I think Cameron Carter-Vickers is the next best option behind those two. Very good player for Celtic. I thought at the World Cup he played very, very well against, which game was that? Iran? I thought he played really well against Iran. So I think he's going to be the main guy behind those guys. And then I want to see this. I like this idea of having a right-footed guy and a left-footed guy. And this might upset some people out there who really like one other person, but hey, hold your horses. But I think Austin Trusty, and I think he'll go into that slot right behind Tim Ream there. I think with Trusty, we brought this up a little bit with N.T. Robinson earlier, is the fact that he can play left back. Now, he just got a nice little move to Sheffield United. So again, another player at Arsenal that was on loan, played really well for Birmingham City in the championship, came back, did his thing in the preseason, and got a move to Sheffield United in the Premier League. Very nice stuff. That's what we like to see. And I think that versatility, playing left back, playing left side center back, I think is very good for him. So I would see him being that 4th option. Now, I do think we bring one more. And this is Logan's squad, but I'm trying to go a little bit realistic here as well. I'm not just going to go everything Logan wants because that doesn't matter, but to a certain extent. So we're going to go try to be realistic and some not, I guess. But Mark McKenzie, I think he deserves a shout in here as well. Playing the Europa League qualifiers for Genk. Again, they didn't qualify for the Europa League, sadly. They lost their first game, drew today, actually. But he's been playing really consistently over in Belgium. I think that deserves a shot here. Now, to be fair, Walker Zimmerman's been playing really well in the Nations League for Nashville. Was the player of the game against Monterrey in the Nations League semifinal. He'll probably be in the squad. If I had to bet money, I would say Walker Zimmerman will be in the squad. And Jalen Neal, just as going with an MLS guy, Jalen Neal I thought played really well in the Gold Cup to the expectation level, I should say. Jalen Neal I thought played all right. And then Miles Robinson will also be mentioned in that squad as well. I think all those guys will deserve a mention. And then John Brooks will not get mentioned, but I think he deserves at least somewhat of a shout here. So we have 5 center backs. We have Chris Richards, Tim Ream, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Austin Trusty, and Mark McKenzie. Moving into the midfield, we've already got 5. We got Tyler Adams, McKinney, Musa, De La Torre, and Reyna. Realistically, I think they only bring one more. I think they bring 6 midfielders. That last guy I'm going to bring in there is Malik Tillman, because in my ideal world, watching what the United States did in the Nations League final, in the Nations League semifinal, playing that, or mostly in the semifinal because they played a 4-3-3 in the final. In the semifinal, playing the 4-2-3-1, I want to see another attacking midfielder in there, and I think that next best attacking midfielder is Malik Tillman, a guy that a lot of people, including myself, were disappointed that wasn't in the World Cup squad. He did really well for Rangers, went back to Bayern Munich this offseason, and then made a move to a club we brought up before, PSV. So now he's going to play with, he's got Ricardo Pepi there, who we might talk about here in a little bit, and Serginho Dest there, potentially moving over there. So we got a nice little American contingent over there in the Netherlands. Fun times, but I think Malik Tillman will slot in there behind Giovanni Reyna, and he can also play on the wing as well. Again, positional versatility is important to me. And you see a lot of the players in there. Reyna can play on the wing. Musa can play all different positions in the midfield. McKinney in the World Cup played off the wing and portions of the game against England. It's like they're very versatile players. And I think that's very important. You look at the back, Scally, Dest, Trusty. I think those guys' versatility, I think that's important there as well. Moving forward, we have Timothy Way on the right. We have Taylor Booth as his main backup. Had a very good season for Utrecht in the Eredivisie last season. Hoping to see him build on that. And I don't know how true these rumors were, but there were some loose links to him moving to Manchester United, which have been, again, would have been great to see. Would have been great to see Taylor Booth go to Manchester United, but I think he's a very creative player, very good backup option. Tim Weah, a little bit different. Weah is very direct. Weah will sprint down the line, and which is weird because he's a striker at heart. He's a striker at heart, but he is so direct as a winger. I think that's really fun to see. And then going to the left side, we got Pulisic, and I think Brendan Aronson will be in the squad as well. Just made a loan deal to Union Berlin. Started off pretty well for Leeds United last season, then kind of just started tapering off, which was not very fun. But I think a move to a Champions League qualifying team in Union Berlin, I think it's a nice move for him. He got a promotion by getting relegated, which is fun. It's a fun thing to see. I ain't complaining. But sticking in the Bundesliga, I think Kevin Paredes will be another player in the squad. He's not made a single appearance for the United States men's national team up to this point, but again, positional versatility. He can play on that left wing. He can also play at left back. We don't have a lot of great options at left back, barring Anthony Robinson, that are natural left backs. And we brought up Dest, Scally, Trusty, and there's Kevin Paredes as well. Very talented player. So we see him going in as another option off the left. And then up striker, we got Balogun. I think that next best option after him is Ricardo Pepi. And then after them, to the disappointment of Alexi Lalas, we're not going to have Jesus Ferreira in here. We're going to go with Josh Sargent, who scored the first game of the season for Norwich City. And again, I think he's a versatile enough player. He can play off the right if need be. I don't think he'll do that, but his willingness to drop back if need be. And I thought at the World Cup he played well. He's the best striker for the United States at the World Cup, which I know isn't really, saying a lot, but that's the case. That's the case, and I think he slots in as that third option behind Balogun, behind Pepi. Now, if we had a 23-man squad, we might be looking at this a little different. I don't know if 3 strikers would be an option in a 23-man squad. I like the idea of Paredes being there because of that versatility. I think going another season with Wolfsburg, I think will be big for him, and I expect him to be a part of the squad in some capacity leading forward. I don't think we'll go into the tournament with Kevin Paredes with 0 caps to his name. I don't see it as an option, but there's other options for the United States going forward as well. Like at striking, you got Haji Wright, just made a move to Coventry. Daryl DK once he recovers from injury. Obviously, you got Ferreira. Brandon Vasquez is going to be an option there. Cade Cowell had his moments in spurts, I guess, at the Gold Cup. And Alejandro Zendejas and Alan Senora, I don't know what the future really holds from them. One person I was kind of disappointed at leaving out with was Johnny Cardoso. A very good player for Internacional. Nice backup option to Tyler Adams as the 6. He's probably the next natural number 6 after Adams in the depth chart. You can throw in a couple other players. James Sands, I thought, played all right in the Gold Cup. But, yeah, I think that's the squad moving forward for the United States for the Copa America next year. Again, we got some time. We got some time to the Copa America. Again, we don't even know if they're qualifying. We don't even know if they're qualifying at this point. But this is the squad I have going forward for the United States. And we're going to throw it up on either side. I don't know which side's going on. But here's the squad on which side, the 26-man squad with the squad numbers. But, yeah, exciting times. And as for a starting lineup, again, I talked about wanting to have a 4-2-3-1. I'm going to go Matt Turner in net. You got Serginho Dest at right back with Anthony Robinson at left back. Center back partnership of Chris Richards and Tim Ream. Center midfield partnership of the 2. I think the only one that I would consider a close lock in that is Jonas Musa. I think that versatility is important there. And for the other spot, I'm going to go with Tyler Adams. But that goes with, again, who you're playing. McKinney and Tyler Adams are 2 completely different players. So it'll be interesting to see how they balance that. But I would go with Adams at the start. We got Giovanni Reynas, the number 10. Way on the right. Pulisic coming off the left. And Balogun up top. And again, this team can compete. I'm not saying, again, this team can win. And Lord knows that's probably not what the squad's going to look like. But a man can dream. A man can dream, can't they? So that's what I've got for you today. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Logan Blackman Show YouTube channel. And yeah, again, make sure you like, subscribe, follow the different social media accounts. Follow the Logan Blackman Show on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And I, Logan Blackman, will see you guys later. Peace.